Let's talk. Jesus, Scrap Brain Zone is a lot louder than I thought it was going to be. Why is this so loud? Jesus. Anyways, that's why. Groove music. Please, lower down. It's going to be a lot better on my ears. Anyway, let's talk about the OnlyFans controversy. Because we've seen this all once before, but in a different variety. Does everybody remember when Tumblr banned porn? Everybody was up in arms about that. This is a little different. This is a little worse. See, with Tumblr had porn on it, and you knew Tumblr had porn on it, but it's not like they built their brand on porn. Let's talk about this. OnlyFans to block sexually explicit videos starting in October. Now, here's the thing. OnlyFans has a brand built on porn. It is not like Tumblr in that way. Tumblr had its own social justice-y culture that it had, despite sexually explicit material on the website. OnlyFans, when you hear OnlyFans, branding-wise, your brain immediately goes to sexually explicit material. That's what it is. Now, they might need to change their brand, but right now, sexually explicit material is integrated into their branding. Now, there's a few problems with this. We're going to get into the reasons why it's happening. It has a lot to do with Mastercard shit. But let's talk about one of the problems here. I view sex work as work, right? It's work. At the end of the day, it is still work. Whether you consider it work or art or what have you, it's still what it is. And when people say, well, people became millionaires overnight on OnlyFans, I don't care. I actually don't care. If a bunch of people willingly consented to throw their money at someone, that's their individual businesses. I simply cannot give a shit about that. Not to mention, you're counting the hits and not the misses. For every one overnight millionaire on OnlyFans, there's 20,000 people without a single subscriber on OnlyFans. So, it's not a click a button and suddenly everything's okay for you. You've still got to get into the marketing. You've still got to market yourself as a person, as a figure, as a model on there. You've still got a lot of stuff to do. There are OnlyFans models who have never made a dime on OnlyFans. So, let's talk about what's actually happening. Let's talk about their actual policy. Here is the new acceptable use policy for OnlyFans. I guess before we do this, I completely forgot the fan art section. Huh. Let's do that real quick. I am such an idiot. I am terribly sorry. Jesus. So, Bjorn posted this part. I don't know why I completely forgot the fan art section. So they posted this earlier on Twitter and got a response, but it's probably politer to post things here in the future. So, if you want to post fan art onto Twitter, I obviously post on Twitter if you want. It's your fan art. You do it. But you could use the hashtag Suris, and it will make it a lot easier for me to see and categorize it, much like with the Discord. Though, preferably, use the Discord. Like, throw it on Twitter, then throw it on Discord. Also, from Dreamers, we have a Vessel Suris ripped straight out of Hollow Knight. And honestly, I like a little coat. It looks good. It looks fucking great. That said, as always, thank you all for your fan art submissions. I'm sorry that I almost forgot the fan art section today. I will make sure it doesn't happen again. Let's get back into the acceptable use policy. So there was a conversation happening between a few of my friends a little while ago saying that, they're just going to ban stuff like bestiality on OnlyFans. And, yeah, good. Don't ban something where consent can't be had. Animals don't get to consent to your weird shit. But this is what the actual acceptable use policy is saying now. So the things that are going to be banned, anything that shows, promotes, or advertises or refers to sexually explicit conduct, which means, in their estimation, actual or simulated sexual intercourse, including genital-genital, oral-genital, anal-genital, oral-anal, between persons of any sex. So whether it is actual or simulated, this would also mean because of Clause 2 here, actual or simulated masturbation. No using Bad Dragon dildos to prove how much of a size queen you are. None of that is allowed anymore on there. 3, any exhibition of the anus or genitals of any person, which is extreme or offensive. So, this one stuck out to me because what a lot of people were saying before they gave the actual full-on version of what the OnlyFans what OnlyFans was going to allow, a lot of people thought they were just banning straight-up porn, like sex on there, but you could still post nudes, and they would be fine. But no, like, full frontal nudity, potentially, but anything below the waist is just not going to be allowed. Like, no anus, no genitals, no nothing. As for which is extreme or offensive, I want to know who they're using as the determinate factor for those. And then 4, any actual or simulated material depicting bodily fluids commonly secreted during sexual conduct. So, if you, as an example, if you are posting a thing on OnlyFans that shows you fully clothed, but with white yogurt on your face, with an Ahigo face, that would be banned as well, because that is simulated material depicting bodily fluids commonly secreted during sexual conduct. So even if no sex has happened, and even if no sexual fluids are present, as long as they think that it's close enough, fucking yeet. There it goes. Now, this... Yeah, rip Boku no Pico ice cream. Now, again, we're going to get into the why this is happening here in a second, but I want to give my take as to why this is a problem. As somebody who hasn't subscribed to anybody on OnlyFans, so I don't have a personal onus in here. I gain or lose nothing from this. Because I view sex work as work, and because so much of the branding of OnlyFans is wrapped up in that sex worker styling, when you hurt the people who literally grew your business, when you shit on their livelihoods, I'm not okay with that. And when you say, well, they can just move to Patreon, the fact that you can move to a different job does not mean that your current employer should be able to shit on you, whether that employer is paying you via a 1099 or via a W-2. They should not be allowed to just literally go, yeah, no, the people who built our business get completely fucked over. The ability to move to a different platform doesn't change the fucking over that's happening. Or I guess the fucking that's not happening, because, well, that's actually explicit. Why is this happening, though? Before we continue with the video, I want to go ahead and throw out that fun reminder that we are on YouTube, so if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. It would be an immense help for the channel, and those numbers really do mean a lot. And if you want to catch any of what goes on this channel live, then the best thing you can do is head over to Twitch and hit that follow button over there so you can know when I go live there. Alrighty, I'll stop taking up your time here. Back to the video. Well, let's look at their official statement, and then let's look into the Mastercard business. OnlyFans releases official statement about upcoming ban on sexually explicit conduct. OnlyFans has released an official statement regarding their upcoming ban on October 1st. The news was first announced on Bloomberg this morning, or at the time of the article's writing. Effective October 2021, OnlyFans will prohibit the posting of any content containing sexually explicit conduct in order to ensure the long-term sustainability of the platform and to continue to host an inclusive community of creators and fans. We must evolve our content guidelines. Creators will continue to be allowed to post content containing nudity as long as it is consistent with our acceptable use policy. This is their acceptable use policy. So by nudity, they just mean you can show a little titty, you know, as a treat. This is the acceptable use policy. So when they go, oh yeah, no, you can still have nudity, kind of. Cat can have a little titty as a treat. These changes are to comply with the request of our banking partners and payout providers. That's the interesting statement. That's why we're going to get into Mastercard here in a bit. We'll be sharing more details in the coming days, and we will actively support and guide our creators through this change in content guidelines. We remain dedicated to our community of 130 million users and 2 million creators that have earned over 5 billion on our platform. No, you aren't. If you were, you would not be fucking over one of the large chunks of your platform that literally helped build your platform into what it is today. No more coming days. Why no dicks? That's what the fuck? Yeah, it's so just ecchi. Not even ecchi. So if you've got ecchi material on there that is suggestive and simulating oral penetration, then that is a violation of their acceptable use policy. Showed it there. Now, what we're told is this. This is from April 15th of this year. This is from earlier. After yesterday's XBids report that Mastercard has decided to change the requirements it set for banks that processes payments for sellers of adult content, industry payment processors, attorneys, and advocates share their thoughts on what this might mean for content production and distribution. XBiz asked adult industry stakeholders about how they saw the Mastercard changes affecting their business, and a comment on possible changes for tube sites like Pornhub or Xvideos, fan sites like OnlyFans and FanCentro, pay sites, studios, and content creators. The changes will impact the entire adult industry. Well, of course it will. We're seeing those changes right now. We see that. NetBilling's Mitch Farber thinks that Visa is sure to follow MasterCard's lead in their approach to ensure illegal content is more closely monitored and removed from sites that they allow processing for. Now that's interesting, because if it were just about removing illegal content, then they wouldn't have such a strict acceptable use policy. Is it a bottom line if creators are to the ground? You have to effectively appease the fundies. So here's the thing, though. I keep hearing people say that it's about evangelicals. Can somebody post me a link to that showing that that's the case? Because I'm seeing it being like the MasterCard stuff. And I think it's bullshit. But when I hear you have to appease the fundamentals, you have to appease the evangelicals, I don't know where that's coming from. If one of you has a link they can provide while I'm doing this, and I will look it over, then awesome. But I think it has to do with Exodus Cry. Okay, well, let's take a look here. Exodus Cry. Let's see here. Fight for the freedom of all sex trafficking victims. Okay. See, I agree with this. Sex trafficking is bad. That's kind of a duh thing. What is their solution here? Shifting culture, changing laws, reaching out. That's why the more stringent the normal rules. Exodus Cry is a fundy org. Okay, we live in a pornified society that promotes sexual... Okay, so wait, hold on. The root of sexual exploitation for them is a society that facilitates it. Wait, hold on. But this feels kind of bullshit. Because sexual exploitation has happened in vast amounts. Even in the most Puritan versions of American culture. In fact, actually, having a more sexualized culture where it's more normalized increases the amount of potential regulation on it, as opposed to it happening behind closed doors. This feels like a backwards way to handle this. They said they live in a pornified society that promotes sexual objectification and tolerates sexual exploitation. The sex sells mindset has saturated the world around us, even shaping the lives of our children. But what happens to a society that commercializes sex? People realize that they can use their body for work, just like they do with other work. Like, sex work is one of the oldest kinds of work in America. Sexuality becomes separated from a real person and becomes a commodity. It becomes no more valuable than the product it's pushing. Oh, this is about purity. This is just about fucking purity. This idea that the body is a temple. Like, no. Just so I'm gonna break this down very easily. Let's view sex as work. If there is a difference between different versions of sex, then this argument does not hold up. So let's talk about, you have a leak in your roof. Is there a difference between hiring a contractor to come out and fix the leak in your roof, or having your dad come over and step up there and try to fix the roof for you, and then you guys sit down and have a nice dinner? Functionally, the roof is getting repaired, so there's no different, right? Except there is. One of these things is a commodity, and one of these things is being done more as a favor. Mechanically, the roof is getting fixed, but functionally, these are two different things, utilizing the same mechanics. Sex, as a commodity, being a thing that can be bought and sold on a market, does not delegitimize or ruin sex for private individuals. Nothing about that makes any sense. If you view work as things that can be operated in separate categories, then sex work is no different. My body may be a temple, but I am the divine to whom the altar is devoted to. Do not presume to tell me how I may decorate my altar. Decorate your altar with cummy wummies. That's what you do. But if we want to live in a world where people aren't sold for sex, then our hypersexualized society must be transformed. That's how we can stop sexual exploitation before it starts. So by this logic, when society did not have a pornified version of itself, when sex sells was not a concept that was born in a marketing dev team, then there was no sexual exploitation, right? Except wrong. Sex slaves have been a thing for not just decades, but centuries. All types of sexual exploitation have been a thing for decades. Centuries. Millennia. You can't just change culture and society and suddenly all of the bad sex goes away. That's still going to be there. If everybody is a Quaker Puritan, that is not going to suddenly change the existence of fucking sex rings. If that was the case, then the Catholic Church wouldn't be in a fucking sex scandal every other month. And I've just been sent something from Mare, the GM, real quick. A couple of links here from this Free Speech Coalition. This morning, OnlyFans announced that as of October 1st, it will no longer allow any sexually explicit content on its platform. This is devastating for a new generation of adult creators who have used the platform and others like it to build businesses and profit off their own work and achieve independence. So here's another thing. I'm just going to throw this out there right now. If you don't want sexual objectification, if you don't want sexual exploitation specifically, you want a world with less exploitation, fucking up OnlyFans is not the way to do it. And let me explain why. If you're a creator on OnlyFans, you're independent. You get to choose who looks at your shit. You get to choose what you do with your shit. If you are having to work through a porn industry, it is more that they are owning your body. They have the ability to determine who you have sex with and whether or not you can even have children in some cases. You don't want exploitation? Then don't ban one of the avenues that sex workers have been able to use to get away from exploitation. Being able to sell independently without the need for a contractor or a pimp is important to stopping sexual exploitation. And if you don't like exploitation, understandable. Neither do I. But if anybody is allowed to sexually exploit you, it should be yourself. Just like when I have a bikini version of my avatar on here for you guys to see, I am allowed to exploit myself if I so choose. You don't get a say in that. I do. If I want to have a version of my character with feet pressed up against your eyes, you may not like it, and I might not ever fucking do that. But if I did that, that would be my choice. It would be a sexual exploitation of myself from myself. If anybody's allowed to do that, it's me. Same thing with all of this. While many will blame OnlyFans for sacrificing sex workers in pursuit of investment capital, we need to be frank about where the true fault lies, with the banks and credit card companies like Mastercard who have refused to stand up to a misguided and ill-intentioned evangelical war on porn. Over the past few days, we've watched as groups that don't believe in the rights of sex workers to exist, let alone speak, have maligned and attacked sex workers in the name of saving them. Funded by conservative groups and churches, they've amplified poorly supported claims of trafficking and exploitation, porn addiction, and child exploitation. Banks and credit card companies are risk-averse institutions, easily scared by potential bad publicity. Religious groups know this and have made no secret of targeting them in their quest to eliminate sex workers altogether. In doing so, companies like Mastercard have become enablers of these anti-porn, anti-LGBTQ, misogynist groups. Companies like Mastercard are now accomplices in the disenfranchisement of millions of sex workers, complicit in pushing workers away from independence into potentially more dangerous and exploitative conditions. Again, it is less exploitative for you to be working on OnlyFans than it is for you to be taking that exact same sex work and doing it for a porn industry. The removal of adult content from OnlyFans will not stop adult content. Sex workers and those in the adult industry more broadly have learned to survive in hostile conditions. But that doesn't mean that people won't be hurt, that lives and businesses won't be destroyed, and that millions of dollars of sex worker income won't disappear. In an attempt to preserve their good standing with religious hate groups, Mastercard and other companies have taken to the inevitable stand of discrimination. We will not forget and we will not stop fighting. And that is from AVN, from the Free Speech Coalition. We have one more post here as well from NBC. OnlyFans, a site built on sex, will ban sexually explicit content, which again, I already pointed out is kind of stupid. Like, don't build your entire... It's like YouTube bending themselves for larger corporations constantly. It really sucks when users are the ones who built YouTube, and yet we're the ones that get fucked over by their policies a lot. Like, remember when I did, earliest point in 2020, during the starting fires of the Black Lives Matter protests, I used footage from various news organizations, all available on YouTube. And then that video using their footage got banned from my channel for violence. It was deemed too violent, and I received a strike on my channel. It was too violent for me to show it, but it was not too violent for the larger corporations to show the exact same footage. That kind of double standard fucks up your people who help build your platform. Same here. In bending to Mastercard, you're fucking over your sex workers who have been building your brand. Your brand is intertwined with sex work. OnlyFans, a pioneering website that allows models and performers to charge fans for nude imagery, said Thursday that it was phasing out sexually explicit content to appease banks and financial transaction services that it uses. The policy, which was started on October 1st, follows a request from banks and financial transaction services to stop the explicit imagery. I'm just going to say this right now. Unless your banks are ran by literal children, they should not have a problem with explicit imagery. If you're an adult, you can handle titty. If you're an adult, you can handle a picture of a vagina. If you're an adult, you can handle a penis. You can. You have the capacity to. This feels infantilizing and infantile. Ooh, scary. A titty. Yes, it's very scary titty. Nude content consistent with its policies will be allowed, but again, we just went over those policies. You can have a little tibby as a treat, and that's it. That's it. But I'm an adult and also sex repulsed ace, but genitalia looks fucking weird. I mean, yeah, I can look... Look, a tentacle looks weird, but we shouldn't be banning octopi today. Just the tit tip. See, the site didn't respond to requests for comment on Thursday to NBC News. OnlyFans is popular with some celebrities, adult performers, and models who've used it to bolster their incomes and profiles. Adult performers in particular have gravitated to OnlyFans as the adult video industry has been geographically decentralized and taken over by free video sites. OnlyFans says that it's 130 million users and 2 million creators. That is paid yeah, we already read all that. We've already read all of this. We've already read in other articles now. At this point. So, here's where I throw it to you guys. You may not like sex work, and I can understand if you don't. I've heard the argument, especially locally here in Georgia, from people saying that, well, if you wouldn't want your daughter doing it, well, I don't want my daughter, when I have one, I don't want them working in anything that's going to exploit them. If they want to do something like that, well, again, this is a hypothetical person that does not yet exist, so subject to change, but if they wanted to do independent work, that's their business. I'm sure that my parents don't like me doing the stuff I do on my channel, given that I'm not a fundamental Christian. So, I think the argument, would you want your child doing it when they become an adult and can consent to whatever the fuck they want? I don't find it to be a convincing argument. If you've got a different convincing argument, and you want to throw it at me in the comment section, feel free to. But, I have not heard one. If you're against exploitation of people, I am too. OnlyFans is not exploitative in that way, though. When you're able to independently own all of your own work, you literally avoid that. So, let me know what you think. We're throwing it off to you guys in the comment section. As always, if you want to support the channel and what I do, the best way to do so is by clicking the links in the description. Also, this Friday over on Sunset City, we are going to be covering Sonic CD for our 25th episode. So if that is something that you guys are excited for, then hey, that's what we'll be doing. With all that said, everyone, as always, insert end of video tagline here.